If you've ever felt totally stuck in a loop, endlessly repeating the exact same mistakes, making the exact same bad bets, or hitting the exact same hurdles, well, this explainer was built specifically for you. Today, we're unpacking a really profound framework for escaping those recurring life struggles. It's basically the real secret to mental toughness, and honestly, it's something that affects literally every single one of us. So, why does the exact same problem keep dragging you down? I mean, we all have that one recurring issue, right? Maybe it's a financial hurdle that just magically pops up every few years, or a toxic relationship dynamic you kind of keep stumbling into, or even a personal emotional setback that just hits you out of nowhere, time and time again. What we're going to dive into today is this huge realization: simply surviving a problem is absolutely not the same thing as overcoming it. Because just barely getting through a tough time, that definitely doesn't guarantee it won't come knocking again. All right, let's jump right into part one, the inevitable battle. To figure out why these problems keep repeating, we first have to accept a pretty fundamental reality about our world. There is a constant, inevitable clash between what we can call light and dark forces. And listen, this isn't just some rare, unlucky event. It's a continuous reality for everyone. Unexpected challenges, really profound setbacks, and negative influences are absolutely 100% guaranteed to happen. You simply cannot avoid the battlefield. So how do we actually survive this inevitable clash? Well, the answer is mental toughness. This is the powerful strength of the mind required to withstand life's inevitable challenges, prevent defeat, and keep moving forward. We have to actively build up this mental armor. Without it, when those unexpected challenges hit, we don't just stumble, we literally get completely crushed. Mental toughness isn't just about slapping on a fake smile and ignoring the pain. It's about having the structural integrity in your mind to make sure you don't collapse under pressure. Historically speaking, even the greatest, most enlightened figures faced extreme dark forces. Take a look here. On the left, the Buddha faced severe psychological pressure and physical threats even as he sat at his final seat of enlightenment. And on the right, Jesus faced ultimate betrayal and crucifixion by dark forces, despite a life and teachings dedicated entirely to compassion. Now, we aren't looking at this to take any kind of religious or political side. We're just looking at them as profound historical examples of the human condition. The big takeaway here: they responded with immense mental strength, deep compassion, and unwavering focus, rather than reacting negatively. Hardship is universal, guys. Your response is what actually defines you. Moving right along to part two, category one, the fall. Knowing that severe challenges are a universal guarantee, how do everyday people usually react to sudden, uninvited problems? Well, our source material breaks these reactions down into distinct categories. Category 1 represents the most immediate destructive reaction, the downward spiral. A problem hits, the person gets knocked down from their blind spot, but instead of trying to get back up, they just give up entirely. They turn to destructive habits. Maybe they're self-medicating with alcohol or substances to numb the pain. They start finding negative friends who just reinforce their misery and, the saying, misery loves company, friends who offer absolutely no path to growth. They completely stop exercising. They stop meditating or really engaging in whatever spiritual practices kept them grounded in the first place. Essentially, they abandon all the good habits they had painstakingly built up over the years. And because they fell to an unexpected challenge and completely surrendered, they end up in a far worse, much darker state than they were before the problem ever even happened. That brings us to part 3, category 2, the illusion. Now, most of you watching probably already know to avoid the obvious pitfalls of category 1, but this next category is incredibly fascinating and honestly, highly deceptive. At first glance, category 2 looks exactly like a massive resilience success story. Here's exactly how it plays out. Step 1, the problem hits abruptly. Step 2, the person falls down, just like in category 1. But step 3 is where things completely diverge. Instead of spiraling into bad habits, they just wait. They patiently hold out for the problem to naturally fade away. And finally, step 4, the storm passes and they return to their exact same self. On the surface, right, this looks like survival. They didn't turn to bad habits, they weathered the storm. But if you look a little closer, you'll see they failed to make a single internal change. It actually hides a really dangerous comfort that keeps you completely trapped. These individuals often rely on a pretty profound philosophical truth to get through those hard times. Everything has a lifetime. It arises, exists, and transforms. This is an undeniable truth of impermanence. Even the most terrifying, overwhelming problems are only temporary. And a category 2 person, they know this deeply. It's almost like a mental life raft for them. They know that if they just hold their breath long enough, kind of keep their head down, the fear and the problem will eventually run its course and just dissipate into the ether. But here is the absolute critical flaw in that exact mindset. Zero changes are made to their character, habits, strategies, intellect, or spirituality. Literally none. Once the storm passes, they resume life exactly as they did before. They act as if the problem never even happened. They didn't upgrade their defensive armor. They didn't learn a new strategy. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they simply pressed pause on their life, waited quietly in the dark, and then just hit play again the very second the sun came out. Which leads us perfectly into part 4, why problems keep repeating. This brings us to the real climax of this whole framework, revealing the super insidious trap of the Category 2 approach. This is the exact reason why you might feel stuck in an endless loop in your own life. By simply waiting out the problem and resuming your old self, you leave yourself 100% vulnerable to the exact same threat. That is the trap. Think about it. If a problem knocked you down once and you didn't change your methods, what is stopping it from knocking you down again? Absolutely nothing. Your unchanged habits practically guarantee the exact same failures will repeat. The actual solution here? Upgrading your methods to prevent the problem's return. It's all about adapting. It's about actively evolving your mental toughness, really analyzing your blind spots, and building new defenses so the exact same trick doesn't work on you twice. If you face repeated failures, you must humbly admit the fault is in your method, not just the problem itself. Look, I get it. It is so incredibly easy to blame the outside world. It's so easy to point fingers, play the victim, and just say, why does this keep happening to me? But if you are dealing with recurring mental, physical, or personal defeats, you really have to look inward. You need the deep humility to sit down and say, my current strategy is broken, and I am the one who needs to upgrade. So here is the real choice staring you in the face right now. Will you humbly change your methods today, or are you just going to wait to fall again? Breaking your personal loop requires immediate action. It requires upgrading your mental toughness, your strategies, and your character right now. Why? So that when life's inevitable challenges return, and we already established they absolutely will, they are forced to meet a stronger, smarter, and infinitely more resilient version of you. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep learning, keep upgrading your methods, and I'll see you next time.